Hey, Jen, what are you doing here?
Hey, Chuck.
Hey, slow this way.
What are you talking about? I come here every day for lunch.
There's a girl.
Thanks for the warning. One drink and I'm out of here.
One drink, and you done.
Yeah.
Usual?
Yes, please.
Sounds good. Yes, sir. What can I get you?
Like brown sugar.
No, my friend, there's something that smells a little different about you.
Oh, really?
Let me clarify what we're trying to say. You're really a cop.
Well, I'm not. That's what we think you are. Guys, we can stand here and fight, or we can all have to drink something.
Excuse me?
If you fight, or if you...
It's like kind of jerk.
Chuck! Get the fuck out. Everyone, get the fuck out of here! Now! All of you!
You know who the fuck I am? I'm the Godfather of Pomona crime family. Now what are you gonna do, asshole?
Okay, Godfather. On your knees. You too. Everybody on your knees.
Get the hell out of here.
Get the fuck up and go get it! Action, but I want it.
Sure, boss. But what about the girl?
You're not a bitch.
Let's go. Okay, folks, I hope you enjoy the movie. My name is Moni Isaac, and I'm going to explain to you about combat survival. Combat survival fuses the best of the Israeli combat system. Combat system like kapap, lotar, agana, krav maga, including also some of the best of Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and some other disciplines that I included in this art. Combat survival going to teach you to outsmart any opponent regardless of his background. It could be just a violent person in the street, or grappler, or Muay Thai fighter. You're going to know how to fight against him. Because what you're going to learn is how to escape and take control on any position in the street. If it's any hole that exists, you're going to take control. If it's going to be weapons, you're going to take control. If it's going to be ground, you're going to take control. It's basically how to take control. Let's go to the mat and do the work. Welcome to level 1 in combat survival. Level 1 designed to help you to face any kind of attackers that attack you to the upper part of the body. We design it in a special way that basically going to prepare you to any situation, either it's a knife, gun, punch, hold, chokes, or ground. Any attacks that come into the upper body from the front, from the side, from the back, will be at this stage. Level 2, the next one, will be covers the midsection of the body and also the upper body. Enjoy. Hi, the first chapter will be escape from chokes. Escape from choke for level 1. When somebody choke you, it could be very dangerous. You might lose consciousness in a few seconds, or you might lose balance, and then you're going to fall and hurt yourself, and the fight will be continuing on the ground, which you have no chance. We're going to demonstrate the escapes on Joel, my student. Joel? When somebody choke you, usually it's not placing the hand here as many people train. It's more violent. People coming this way and pushing. So there is a shoving and pushing, or sometimes it could be pulling toward you. It's very shocking. You have to deal with the shock, you have to deal with the balance issue, and you have to deal most of all with the choke itself. The choke itself, when somebody places his hand around your neck, it creates pressure in 3 areas. The 2 arteries that are running on both sides of the neck, and the air supply at the front. When I place my hand here, if I choke Joel that way, it will be very painful for him. At the same time, he's going to lose consciousness within a few seconds. What I'm going to demonstrate now on Joel is a choke that will be just as effective as my hands on him without hurting him so much. It's a kind of gentle choke that is going to be applying pressure on the blood supply, not on the air supply, showing you the effectiveness of a choke. I'm doing it very gently and slowly. Are you okay, Joel?
Yep.
What did you feel? Sit down.
Okay.
That's okay. What did you feel?
You keep just what you go into your mind is you're trying to breathe, you're trying to suck in the air, and it feels like your face is swelling, your lips feel really they expand, like it feels like your head's going to explode a little bit, and you feel like you're a little bit of tunnel vision, and you feel like you're.
What do you see?
It's getting darker. Like you see spots, and you start, and it starts getting darker, and you start to look into like a tunnel.
Joel is fine now, but under no circumstances try it at home with the club. That has to be done only by a professional instructor and only for demonstration purposes. When you choke somebody for a long period of time, there could be a brain damage or even death. This is exactly what we want to avoid on the escape from chokes. When you do escape from choke, you have to react immediately. As soon as you feel the hands on your neck, your reaction has to come. I just demonstrated the front choke escape, and now I'm going to break it down for you so you can understand exactly how to do it. The first thing to remember is the action-reaction time. Assume that any opponent put his hand on your neck, you have to react immediately. As you saw before, it could be very dangerous to let his hand there freeze and do nothing. It takes some training to work on action-reaction. In one of our future tapes, we will work a lot on drills to work on action-reactions. As he put his hand on me and start shove back, I'm moving the leg to the side, bend both knees. So this leg will be 90 degrees to the front leg, and I'm stabilizing my balance. This is going to stop some of this shoving. One more time. At the same time, as I'm moving backward, I'm doing at the same time two moves. One, I'm moving the right shoulder with the right leg to the side. So all my body is turning. If you just pay attention to me now, without him holding me, it's going to be this way. As he pushed me back, I'm turning and placing my right leg backward, moving my shoulder and turning, and at the same time hitting with the front hand to the groin. So the move is from here as he approach, right to the groin, this shoulder going backward. The reason that this shoulder is going backward is to accumulate momentum, which I'm going to use to release myself. So in fact, it's almost like you throwing a disc, if you saw that in the Olympic game, this kind of move. You bring this shoulder back, this is going to the groin. Right? From that, I hit in the groin. The right arm now going to release me. What I do, I raise it up and pivot, turning my shoulder. So if my left shoulder is now facing him, while I'm pivoting, my right shoulder going to face him. This turn actually creates the momentum to escape. You have to pay attention that it's not a hitting on the hand. It's a very, very common mistake to see people who train. They're moving the hand down to here. And that's actually working with power. What you want to do is to release with this part of the body. So now he's going to hold me really, really tight, and I want you to see, no matter how tight he's going to hold, me by turning, this part is actually releasing the hold. Hold even tighter. Tighter. I will have to turn a bit more, but I'm not using any force. It's the entire body turning that creating the escape. As I'm turning, I'm generating enough momentum now to go back and attack. There is a barrage of attack now, 3 elbows. The elbows are just turned, coming back and hitting him right underneath the temple. The other hand continue hitting him at the same place, and then I'm turning and hitting him with the other elbow under the nose. So one more time. Turning, attacking, attacking, attacking. To help understand better, I'm going to show it without Joel attacking me, this time in slow motion, so you can see the entire move. Number 1, moving my leg backward and stabilize myself, moving to 90 degrees while I'm hitting the groin. From that stage, I'm going to move my hands and turn to escape. While I'm doing that, I may want to move my right leg to here to get more balance. Now I'm turning and hitting with the elbow, the other elbow follow, and the other elbow follow. What you just have seen was called the windmill escape, which we're going to use the same under different circumstances. When the guy choke you from the side, and later on from the back, we're going to use the same escape. Let's look at that. He places his hand on my neck. I'm moving the shoulder backward, creating momentum. Preferably with the front head, we'll hit the groin, but it's not a must here. What we really want to do is focus on the escape. The hand is going up, and I'm turning and escaping. From here, the attack would be just as we did before. Choke from the side, I'm moving my shoulder backward, the shoulder that's close to him, moving backward, clear it under his hand, moving my hand back, all the way up, turning and coming back with the elbow to the face. What I would like to emphasize now is basically the rotation of the shoulder. If you pay attention to the shoulder, No matter if he's holding your neck, your shoulders still can move. Hold me tight now. My shoulder can move backward. And when I lift it up and turn, it's going to release. Hold even harder. Even harder. And Joel is a very strong man. Obviously, we don't want to take chances. So when we do that, we're using the entire movement with the hand as we learned before. Obviously, when you train, you have to train right and left. We equally have to train always right and left. You never know when you're going to be attacked and from what direction. Training from both sides will not just going to help you to be prepared better, but basically going to work your balance in the muscle properly, so you won't develop only one side, and the reflexes will be equally good. When you're being attacked from the back, you have to take one step forward to establish a balance, and at the same time moving the other hand to the groin, turning your shoulders. This is going to lead us to the windmills that we just learned. I'm lifting them up, and now I'm pivoting completely. This is bringing to a position that right now I'm in a great position to give a knee to the groin. The back leg going to be a very strong knee to the groin. I'm putting two hands to the back of the head and bringing the right knee from underneath to the groin. It has to be a full body motion from under to the top. The idea is to raise your knee all the way up. Here, all the way up. As his reaction is collapsing forward, any person who hitting the groin going down, this is give us a many opportunity to finish, either by another knee to the face or taking down. The takedown would be inserting the left hand underneath his right arm, right underneath his elbow, to the top of my hand, creating a position right now that by pivoting he's going to fall. I'm pressing his head in and moving the back leg and standing next to him. One more time. The hand that's holding the back of his shirt going to push his head down. The other hand going to be inserted underneath his armpit to the top of my hand. If you look right now, because his head is pressed down, as more I lift this part, he starts losing balance. But if I pivot and move the back leg, standing, facing the opposite direction completely to here, that's what take him out of balance. We're going to use a windmill escape when somebody is pushing us. This time we're going to use half windmill with a specific way to move with your legs. So let's pay attention to a situation that the person is coming and choke you, but not just choke you, is shove you and push you back. My student Joel is coming now and trying to push me while he choke me, which is very common. One more time, just really push me.
Okay.
Walking back is not going to help you unless you do a specific move with your legs. What you want to do is when he push you, you want to move one of your legs, it doesn't matter if it's going to be the left or right, in a semicircle and turn. So from here to here, or from here to here. When you start this motion, you can at the same time raise the hand and do the windmill. This time half windmill will do the job. Let's pay attention now to the leg and the half windmill at the same time. Usually the pressure of is pushing create a situation that is keep moving on. What I want to do is keep turning. So this time he's moving and I'm turning, which helped me now to finish. Because I'm in an amazing position now to finish him in different way. As Joel going to shove me now and I'm going to do the half step, half windmill, his body going to continue, I'm going to keep turning. And that means that basically after I took one step with my left foot 90 degrees backward, the next step will be with my right foot here. So it is left and right. And now I'm facing the opposite direction, or the same direction I was facing before. Okay, one more time, let's pay attention to the legs. Only the legs work right now. 1 and 2. Joel continue his momentum forward, and I'm going to follow up with finishing. I'm putting my both hands together this way, create momentum and go to the back of his head, right there. The power that accumulated from this turning is a very strong power, hitting him back of the head, right here, can create a situation that you forget his name and where he came from and where he's going. This is where the memory, cellular, and we hit it right here. Let's look at it again, slow motion. Let's pay attention to the way I hit him now. Both hands together, 90 degree, moving to one direction and coming back to the other direction. So basically, I'm moving into the target. One hand and assisting the other hand. So this hand going to push that hand, and the body motion is going to create tremendous power to hit him, right there. If he's doing the move very fast, and there is a situation that is further away from me, it's okay to straight the arm and hit with a straight arm. Let's look at that one time from this direction. So he's pushing, I'm turning, he's turning fast. Going here, nothing wrong with that. You hit with the side of the hand, the back of his head. Let's see that one more time.
Let's go over some key points for the choke defense. Remember, you don't have much time, so initially you need to establish your base, have a good balance, and step back with the right leg, or the left. As the foot comes back, the opposite hand comes forward to the groin. Pivot, bring your body through, break through the hands. Coming over and come back with elbow strikes to the face. In the case of the choke from behind, turn the shoulder, come back with the hand to the groin, while the other hand comes up and around, turn face the attacker, one leg is back. Bring both hands behind the attacker's neck so he can't escape, you can pull him into the knee. Back leg is coming forward, usually to the groin. From here, grab the shirt, pushing down on the head with the elbow, looping the hand, crossing, grabbing your own wrist. Keep the pressure down on the head, and turn and pivot so you end up facing the same way as him, taking him out of balance. In this case, the attacker is choking and pushing. You step back and continue with the arm up, release the choke, coming with the elbow to the head.
Combat survival cover many defense against chokes and many attacks as well. But for level 1, I'm going to show you one more escape that might be very helpful. I'm going to break it down for you so you can understand. The first thing, as before, we have to make sure to maintain a good balance. So as the attack, I'm taking one leg backward, 90 degrees to the other leg, and stabilize my balance. The attack, I stabilize my balance. At the same time, I'm inserting one hand between his hands to the back of his head. To make it the best, I will place 4 fingers behind his neck and the thumb behind his ear. When I say behind his ear, the best place to be is right on the bottom of the ear, where the hole is right here. As you can see, right here. This is a perfect position. But even if you cannot do that, just place your hand behind and hold the back of the neck. And now I'm lifting the elbow up to release the pressure. When I'm lifting the elbow, one elbow has no power anymore to choke, and he cannot choke with one hand. So basically the choke is gone. At that moment, I have a variety of attacks. His neck is very exposed to me now. As he choked me, now I can basically choke him if I want to. I can basically grab his Adam apple and at the same time pull from the back of the head. So the back of the head is, I'm pulling to me, and the Adam apple, lift you a little bit. I'm holding it from the back of the Adam apple and actually pull it to my direction. The other option is to insert 2 fingers to the larynx, right underneath his neck. This is a hole right underneath the Adam apple. When I'm inserting my fingers, they are not going back directly, they're going down. And you're going to feel it. So while I'm doing that, if my only intention is just to throw him away, while I'm inserting my fingers here, I let go with the hand that releases the choke, so it will move backward. If my intention to choke him back, I'm going to pull with the hand behind his neck while I'm doing this. Another option, after you release the pressure from your neck, is insert the other hand between your hands as a wave to the nose moving the back leg forward and pushing. Obviously,
some other options include here coming with one hand behind the neck and lifting to relieve the pressure and attacking the attacker's neck with different pressure points.
for level 1 is how to deal with punches. We're talking about a sucker punch, we're talking about the jab that's coming straight to your face. So when you're standing in a situation with somebody that's in front of you and you don't know for sure that he's going to attack you or not, you read his body language. This is how it's going to look. Oliver, please. If I'm in confrontation or verbally talking to the guy, I watch his shoulders. When you want to punch, you just watch his shoulder. You can do it fast. That will be the right. If you see the right shoulder drop, that means it's coming with the right, coming with the left. You can see that the shoulder is moving backward and then forward. Back. Anyone you want. That will be the right. Left. Do it faster. Left. Right. So it's easy to read. From my point of view, I have to stand with my hand ready, and that means not to threat too much, but basically my hands are here, talking to him. Whatever you want, what you want, and so forth. My hands will be here so I can protect myself. From here, we're going to move to the first technique. So the first attack will be a right jab to my face, and I'm going to deal with that. Let me break it down for you. What happened here is attacking with his right hand, and I want to be out of his line. If he's coming to my face, come directly to my face, what I want to do is to move my face to here. But not just move my face, I want to move the entire body there. What I'm doing, I'm stepping to the outside of his body. So come again. This is what happened. I'm stepping outside of his body. So he's coming with his right foot, I'm going with my left foot to the outside of his body. Okay? As the tensions start to build and I feel that there is a situation that there might be attack, the first thing I do, I'll try to step back, and my hands will be in front of my body, talking to him. My eyes will be focusing just slightly above his solar plexus, around this area. And from here I can see his lower body and, of course, his top body. I do not look to his eyes because his eyes could be deceiving. Looking from here, I can see the shoulder clearly, and I can see also his legs. From that stage, when he's attacking me with his right, and I see his shoulder dropping to attack, I'm moving to my left. So basically my left foot moving forward, and I'm slightly turning my shoulders. At the same time, I'm moving his hand away from my face. All I need to do is just to clear my face. I don't need to push his hand further away. There is no reason. This is enough for me to actually clear. That's all you need. But we want to use that motion as an attack. So while he is moving forward to attack me, I'm moving at the same time with the backhand, which will be my right hand, from underneath with open palm to the nose, right there. Let's look at that at one motion now. One more time. Now when I hit somebody with an open palm to the nose, the reaction is that the head is completely tilted backward. If you see, I'm going from underneath as a wave and attacking the nose. The entire balance is moving backward. There are two things that might happen. One is that if he's in an extremely good balance, when I do that, he will take a few steps backward. Right? Take a few steps and move. Obviously, if I stop the lower body, he won't be able to do that. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to show you that when I push somebody from the nose, if I don't let his lower body moving back, he's going to lose balance. So grabbing his belt for demonstration purposes and pulling this part while pushing down here will create an arch, will take him out of balance. In a fight, we do not need to grab his belt. In fact, what we're going to do, we're going to insert the hand to the lower part of his back. This is the lower part of his back, which I'm going to basically not just place my hand, but hit inside. This kind of hit while I'm pushing the nose. So let's look at that. In addition to the pushing, pulling motion, the counter force that we do, right hand pushing the nose, left hand pulling the lower back, I'm shuffling. My legs that move to here, going to shuffle one step forward. So let's look at the entire move, the entire body from this position. As he gone down, from here I have a variety of ways to finish. I can go and punch to the neck, or I can actually kick the side of the head. The best is to kick because you don't want to break any finger or any little bone in your hand. The best is to strike, kick over there, and leave the scene.
Let's go over some key points now for the punch defense. Stepping to the side, redirecting the hand to the outside of the face. At the same time, the opposite hand is coming up in a wave motion. Pressure on the nose, taking the attacker out of balance backwards. As you strike the nose, put pressure on the lower back and move behind the attacker, finishing with the kick to the head.
What we just have seen is called a jousting strike, which is exactly a way for us not just to defend ourselves, but to attack at the same time. As he attack, we're going with a jousting strike to the nose. From here we have another option, which is switching hands. The hands that just hit the nose going to move to the elbow, while the left hand moving to his nose. So it's 1 and 2. There is one hit from here and one hit from here right after. The reason to do that is as he broke his balance backward, we want to maintain that and keep him there so he's not coming back by doing that. And from here to take him down, I'm going to make a step with the leg that behind him, which is my left leg. I'm going to turn. As you see, the jousting strike creating a situation that is out of balance. We want to keep him out of balance. Then the right hand that was completely stretched going to replace with the left hand. This is moving to the elbow while the left hand going to the nose. So there is a strike with the right, strike with the left, and pivoting. Look at my left foot, the one behind him now, going to do a semicircle, which take him down, which help us to finish. Let's see it one more time in slow motion. Strike to the nose while we're pivoting, and finish.
Another option, after you attack the nose now, change the hands gripping the arm, attacking the nose with the opposite hand. And from here, pivot in semicircle, taking the, in this case, left leg backwards, stepping back and taking the attacker down. From here, finishing with strikes to the face.
It's a pleasure for me to introduce my top student in Canada, Joel Gerson, been with me for the last 17 years. He's going to demonstrate the break falls. We're going to show you in two different ways. One is the one we're going to perform in a dojo, in a training area, and the other option to do it in the street. Joel.
Okay, thanks, Tony. What we're going to cover now are the break falls, and we have hard falls and soft falls. We're going to cover the hard falls in the dojo because this is really what they're meant for. The soft falls is what we're trying to do outside. The first direction we're going to cover is the backwards hard break form. So let's see what it looks like. So let's break down the hard backwards break fall into stages. That'll make it easier to learn. The first stage is very simple from sitting position. The most important things now are to keep my back as round as possible and to make sure that my head never ever touches the ground. So what's going to happen is as I go back, my legs are going to come up like a teeter-totter. Body goes back, feet come off the ground, and the hands are going to hit 45 degrees, making sure that my chin will be tucked into my chest. At the same time, I also have to keep in mind that I want to exhale as my hands are hitting. I don't want any air in my lungs when I hit the ground. From here. Okay, let's see it from another angle. Common mistakes from here are tendencies that we pick up as kids, which we can get away with when we weigh 40 pounds, but as adults at 150, 200 pounds, if you do it for real, you're going to do a lot of damage. You have to make sure that when you go back, a lot of us will have a tendency to come back on the elbows or come back on the straight arm. In both cases, you're going to hurt yourself. You have to make sure and fight the tendency and keep the arms straight from the front and bring them down powerfully. Also making sure that they don't stay glued to the ground. So this will be wrong. I need the energy to move through, so I'm letting it bounce up from here. It's a big difference. Once you've got comfortable doing it from sitting position and your chin is forward and your arms are straight and everything is clean, the next stage is do it from squatting position. So I'm sitting on both feet in good balance, and from here it's very important to keep the chin forward and stay as round as possible. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to roll back and hit, making sure that my head still doesn't touch the ground and my feet are coming straight up. A common mistake from this position is to do it in a stage, and what I mean by that is often people from here will sit first and then go back. You're losing everything. You really have to try and stay as round as possible, keep the chin forward from here, and don't forget to exhale, nice and round. From here. Once you're comfortable with that stage, the next part is to do it from standing. But in standing, you have to make sure that there's still another stage. What I'm going to do first is drop to the squatting position and then go back. First break it down into 2 stages. Once you get comfortable from this part, then you can do it in one motion. Go straight back. But you have to make sure in all events not to fall like a tree, straight back and flat on your back from here. It's always done in a very gradual stage in terms of dropping and going back from here. Let's go over some key points for the backwards fall. Make sure to keep your back round as you go back, the feet come off the ground, as your hands hit 45 degrees to the body. Make sure your head doesn't touch, keep the chin tucked into the body. Drop first, go back, arms are straight, feet come up. It's often said in combat survival that when a student first comes to the club, they're almost like a cube. And in the beginning, what you need to do is lock the corners off and try and cut the angles and try and make them as much as possible like a perfect sphere. Whenever we work, we try and be as round as possible and as smooth as possible. Everything is nice and round and smooth. So when we go for the soft backwards break fall, it's very important to learn it in stages, and that's where we start from sitting position, again, just like the hard backwards break fall. But here, we're trying to make everything as soft as possible, almost like a cat. All the movements now, very smooth. Pay attention to the angle of the arm and the direction of the legs. And also notice, obviously, the head is never ever touching the ground from here. Let's see it a few times. And from a few angles. I have to pay very close attention at this point to the angle of the legs and the arm and especially the head. If I'm doing the right side, I'm looking over my right shoulder. At the same time, my right arm is going to be straight out 90 degrees to the body. So from here, I'm coming this way. My legs are going to come over my shoulder, here. Pay attention, the legs don't come in a circle to the side. This is another common mistake from here. People have a tendency to roll this way. It's not this way, and it's not directly back. The head should never touch. It's 45 degrees over the shoulder. Notice when I finish, I end up on one leg. This is for practicing purposes, but it's a good habit to have. One leg up, one leg down gives you a lot more mobility. From here to here. Notice I'm also on my toes. Let's emphasize one more time the direction of the head, making sure the head is never touching the ground. If I'm doing the right side, I'm looking over my shoulder, and the head, especially the back of the head, is never making any contact. There are a few reasons why I'm turning my head to the right from here. The first reason, this is one of the laws of martial arts, where the head goes, the body will follow. If I turn my head to this side, it's going to stop the tendency for most people to bring the legs directly behind and you roll along the spine and hit the back of the head. The other thing that happens when I turn my face to the side is it also protects a lot of important things in the back of the head, a lot of vital points that I need to make sure don't make contact with the ground. So from here, the head is turning. It's a very important point. When you get more comfortable with the roll, there's a few points with the hands you have to keep in mind. The first is when I'm rolling back and when I'm coming out of the roll, not to use my hands to push on the ground to help myself get to squatting position. What I mean is the following. When I get to here, don't do this. In the beginning, you might need to until you get more comfortable with the roll. But eventually, you have to realize that your hands are going to be protecting your face at all times. So my hands need to be free from here. So when I roll, the hands are in front, and I can use them. This is the first point with the hands. The other point, when you get more advanced and more comfortable, is you can actually help the hands and the legs work together to get momentum to roll back. In the beginning, when I'm rolling back, the faster I throw my legs, the smoother the roll is going to be from here. If I do it slowly, it's very, very tough. If I do it more quickly, it's a little bit easier. At the same time, if my right hand is coming straight out to the side, my left hand is going to be in sync with my legs. It's a small detail, but it's helping. Some of you might need a little bit of help making the roll finish. This is helping get the momentum. Pay attention to the left hand now. One more time. I'm throwing the hand back. It's helping me get back to my knees from here. It's very important to take your time when learning the backwards roll and do everything in all the gradual stages. The next stage after doing it from sitting on the floor is to do it from squatting position, just like the other break falls. So for now, I'm going to be here. There's still a chance of injuring yourself from here because people tend to go a little bit too fast and hurt the shoulder. So make sure everything is the same as before in terms of all the major points. The arm is straight. Now my back has to be very, very round, and I'm looking over my right shoulder from doing the right side. At the same time now, when I go back, I actually need to take a step with my right leg. So everything is on the right side. Head is turning to the right, feet are going over the right shoulder, the arm is out to the right side, and now I'm stepping back on the right leg. See it from a different angle now. Once you got comfortable and are able to do it from squatting position without feeling any problems anywhere, any pains, any bumps, and everything is round and smooth and very cat-like, the next stage is to do it from standing. When I do it from standing, the same points remain as before. I'm going to be stepping back with the right if I'm doing the right side. The key now is to try and squat gradually. One of the ways I do this is by transferring my weight forward with my hands. So when I squat back, I'm throwing my hand forward into the side here. This is helping counterbalance the weight coming back onto my back leg. Again, from here, step and drop. The transition is gradual. Eventually, it's in one motion, as opposed to dropping from here and falling and opening and landing hard on your back or your butt. Everything is round now. My spine is never touching the ground. And standing up in fighting stance. One more final tip. If you have trouble getting the momentum with your legs, a good thing to imagine is to think that you're kicking someone behind you. So from the side, it's going to look as follows. I'm stepping, and now think that you have to kick behind you. Let's review the points for the soft falling. Make sure you roll over the shoulder, your head doesn't touch the ground. If you're going to the right side, step back with your right leg. The right arm is straight, looking over the right shoulder. As you step back, don't use your hands to come up. Hands are there to protect you. Standing in fighting stance.
Survival, we are staying on our feet and fighting, standing up. But sometimes we go to the ground if we want or not, and we need to know how to fight on the ground. The next scenario will be demonstrated by Marianne and Alex. Marianne is on her back and Alex between her legs, choking her. What Marianne should be concerned now is that basically she have only a few seconds to breathe before she's going to lose consciousness, because if you choke her, is blocking the blood circulation and the air supply to her brain. Then she have to act as fast as possible. She bring her fingers together as close as possible to the groin to create momentum, and from there she's shooting her hands all the way up between his hands as close as possible to her face, creating triangle. If you notice, this is a triangle that going through his hands, since her shoulder wider than her neck, obviously, then it's open automatically, no matter how strong is the guy. At the same time, she's working her legs, meaning at the same time that she's creating this triangle, she's inserting her feet in between the legs and spreading her legs at once. The attacker loses his balance. As soon as he loses balance, she can proceed to the next move. As the attacker collapses, Marianne moving both hands simultaneously, one behind the head to the other side, and the one on the bottom going to the other side of the nose. The hand behind the head is pulling, the hand on the nose is pushing to create a counter force, which turning the head, which turning the body, which lead her to be on the top position. As soon as Marianne rolled her attacker, she is moving to the top position. From that stage, she lifting her knee and at the same time moving her hand up to generate momentum. She's going with an open hand and palm to the nose. Right after that, she's standing up, bringing the knee to the chest to create momentum, and again with the knee to the nose and leaving the scene.
Let's go over the key points for the ground attack. Bring your hands low to the groin, close to your body, and in a triangle motion behind your head. At the same time, thread your feet through his ankles, grapevine your legs, and stretch his base out. One hand behind the head, other hand is pushing on the face to the side, on the nose, torquing the head, which is turning the body, ending up in the top position. Bring one knee up, same hand on the same side, elbow back, coming with the heel to the nose. Finishing with a kick to the face.
The next scenario is the same position. This is the second option that Marianne has when she is on her back and the opponent between the legs. This time Alex will be between the legs. He will take off his shirt so we can see exactly what she put the squeeze on with her legs. She's creating pressure on his kidneys. While he's choking her, she crosses her feet right underneath his ribs cage. And from that moment, she creating some space here. And when she stretch her leg, she stretch it directly to the ceiling, closing this gap. The pressure is very strong and the reaction that is going up is quite normal. In fact, she's creating, at the same time that she's putting pressure on his kidneys, she's also hitting his eyes and nose area. So let's see the legs first. She's putting her legs together, making sure that there is a gap between her inside knees and his lower ribs. It has to be right at the bottom of the ribs, right here. And from that stage, she's stretching her legs very tight up to the ceiling and closing the gap between the legs, which creates a strong pressure on the kidneys. That has to be done at the bottom of the ribs, right here. At the same time, she's hitting his eyes. The way to do it is a very strong and fast move with fingers going to the eye area. It's important that you try to squeeze the fingers in so there is a turning of the fingers through the eyes. When Marianne is actually striking at the face after she squeezes kidney at the same time. Let's do that one more time, squeezing the kidney, breath, push back. His reaction is to go backward. At that stage, she's moving her hips back to her chest, creating momentum and moving both legs to the chin area. which is going to hit him right here on the chin. Let's do that. Slowly, easily. And from the reaction, he's losing balance backward. And Marianne proceed now to standing, either moving to her side, crossing her feet, standing up, or the other option, while she kick, one more time, like down her back, use a kick. Same kick, again, take momentum, kick to the chin, and from here, going to sitting position, and backward to the shoulder, proceed to leave the scene.
Let's go over some key points for the second one. Make sure to have a little bit of space between your knees and his lower rib. And from here, squeezing on the kidneys. Fingers hooking into the eyes. His reaction is to go back. Once you get his reaction to go back, bring your knees into your chest, roll back to create some space and momentum, kicking up towards the chin. Here you have a few options to stand up. Marianne's demonstrating the backward shoulder roll, standing up in fighting stance.
The next chapter will be knife. This is a situation that you're going to be attacked with a knife from the top. When we're dealing with a knife, it might be extremely dangerous. There are a few things that we have to keep in mind. Knife never jam, a knife never go out of ammunition. It's not like a gun. So that means that basically the person who holds the knife can keep attacking you unless you control the hand that's attacking you. You must remember that the first thing you want to do is control the hand. But before we go to that, I want you to try to see with me how to identify the direction of the attack. When somebody attacks you with a knife, the first thing you want to do is to step a few steps backward. If you step backward, you have better chance to survive. You have more reaction time. So if he's grabbing the knife, I'm moving backward, you have to move to me to be able to attack me. Those 2-3 seconds might change everything. The second thing is I'm watching the way he's holding the knife. If he's holding it from the top, this way, he's most likely going to attack up, down, or up, cross way. Those kind of attack coming when the knife is held that way. The opposite way is usually coming from the bottom, and sometimes it's slashing chin. This is more like a thrust and slashing. So you have to identify it by the way he's holding the knife. For the first chapter, we're working on attacks that's coming from the top. So he's coming with the attack, aiming to the neck, to the face, to the chest, from the top. When you see somebody grabbing a knife, the first thing you want to do is step a few steps backward. Make sure that your hands will be in front of your body, ready to protect yourself. Both hands have to be open so you can grab. Do not hold fist, it's not going to help you. You have to keep your hands open. Try to keep your fingers close to each other so none of your fingers will be chopped. Let me break it down for you. The first part, I want to be out of the line. He's coming with the knife from the top. If I'm not going to move, I'm going to get it either my neck, my chest, and so forth. If I move backward and he's faster than me, he might reach me. So I have to jump sideways. So when he's coming with his right hand, I'm moving to here, while his hand is continuing over there. One more time, my body moving completely to the side. Obviously, my hand's going to help by being in front of me and grabbing. So while I'm moving to the side, I'm grabbing the hand. The reason for us to grab the hand, if we just push the hand away, it can come back again. Let's see that. I'm pushing the hand, he's coming and attack again. I must grab it. Grabbing the hand here has to be very tight and strong. The hand that's holding close to the wrist will hold very tight. The other hand will be close to that hand and not on his elbow, right here. This is a position right now that if he try to reach you by attacking you, come with a knife to me, Joel, he can move his body, he cannot get to me. If he pull the knife, he cannot do it. As we grab the wrist, we're going to create pressure on his elbow by moving the ribs. The rib cage of mine going to hit the backside of his elbow. This is where I want to hit. So I'm moving with the rib cage to here while we're pulling the hand. This is what we do. There is a strong pressure that Joel for sure feel it right now. This is what he feel. So let's see that again. I'm holding here, turning, hitting. This hitting going to create two things. Number one, a sharp pain on his elbow, which weaker is grip. At the same time, when I pull to here, most of the people will pull back. They don't like to be pulled here. They will pull the hand back. This is when I'm trapping the hand. The hand that's holding the wrist on the top, going to move to the top of my hand. I'm holding my own wrist. This is the situation that I'm holding. The tight hold here will prevent from him to attack me now. But what I have to do is follow up. As he pulls his hand, my left elbow, my left armpit is moving to the back side of his hand. From here to here. As I'm moving to the back, I'm basically twisting. So if you can see from the side, in the side view, what I do, I'm doing something like this to his hand, which creating the beginning of taking out of balance. Let's see it one more time. Over here, and as he pull, we trap, elbow moving backward, and we are here. This is a situation right now that I'm turning. If I'm standing next to him like good buddies now, I'm going to turn completely to the other side. I'm twisting and turning to here, and then he's going out of balance. This is how I'm taking the opponent out of balance. We have few ways to finish. The first thing I want to do is to take the knife out. There are certain ways that I can do that. Lowering myself on him, bringing his elbow to my chest, creating pressure on his wrist, which helped me to take the knife. One more time. My hand is around his wrist area. I'm bringing the elbow to my chest, and actually it's a jerk move, like a pushing, pulling. The knife is in my hand. This is one motion. Slow motion. This is one option. The second option is moving from here. While you took him down, I bring my right knee behind his elbow. And from here, I'm pivoting to the side. As you can see, my right knee behind his elbow, by me pivoting just to behind his head and closing my knees together on his elbow and torquing the hand to the side, going to basically dislocate the shoulder. The third option, which is kind of strong, you have to be very careful when you train, is you dropping the knee right on his face, here. And now the hand is right, you can turn it. Sitting on his, with all the weight on his face, and now you can turn the hand here. To make it clear, we're going to ask Joel to take off his shirt so you can see exactly how the angle of the pressure, creating the pressure on his shoulder. Please take off your shirt. So since we live in Canada, we are not that tan as all over the world. But as you can see, there are a few things that we have to pay attention. When he's bringing his hand to here, and I want to take him out of balance, I want to bring his hand to 90 degrees. This is a perfect position for me to take him out of balance. And if you look at the side view, if I move the elbow forward and the wrist backward, it's create a pressure that can take any person out of balance. Do you get that? So you can see 90 degree, pushing this one forward and the wrist backward will create enough force to take him out of balance. Even the heaviest and the strongest man. The only difference is that we're going to do it with the leverage. My hands are here. I'm holding tight on the wrist, but here it's kind of loose. As he pulled back after a torque, and he pulled back, I'm moving my elbow behind his elbow. So my elbow from here to here. I'm directing his hand to 90 degrees. As you can see, it's 90 degrees. My elbow behind his elbow. Now, to continue this force to take him out of balance, by me turning, and I'm going to turn and go on my knees so you can see, stay up. I'm turning As I turn, I'm creating more and more pressure to take him out of balance. No matter how the guy is strong, he will go down. If somebody attacks you from the top, but it's coming from the side of your body, and you're lucky enough to see it, you have two ways to deal with that. One way is coming with his right hand. I'm basically instinctively lifting my right hand to protect myself. But from here, I'm pivoting. And here we go, it's the same position as we've been before, which we can continue and finish. If he's coming with the other hand, I'm moving backward. And here you go, it's the same position as we did before. Moving here and taking him down. Okay, let me repeat. If he's coming with the right hand, I'm moving my right hand instinctively to protect myself, pivoting, holding the same way, and here we are, the same position as we've been, as I show you. If he's coming with a backhand, by me moving back, I'm at the same position, and from here I can continue to the same motion that we went.
Let's go over some key points and review the major points now. As the attacker comes with the knife, jump out of the way, grab control of the wrist, arms straight. Pressure on the elbow with the body, pulling the hand to you. Thread your hand through, grab your wrist in a figure four grip, and turning the elbow behind his elbow. Pressure down on the wrist, which will take him down. Pivoting, turning and facing him, turning in a circle. First option to release the knife, bring the elbow into your body and pressure into the wrist to you. Second option, stepping over, turning the elbow 90 degrees behind the body, behind the back. Dropping the knee onto the face is another option from here, and also bringing the elbow to 90 degrees against your knee.
Realistic pressure points is an integral part of combat survival. For level 1, what I'm going to show you the 3 pressure points that you do from very close range. Points and weakness points from very close range can happen either standing up or on the ground. In any grappling situations that your hands are free and his head is close to you, you can use those 3 points. The first one, the ones that we're going to the larynx. You place one hand behind his head while you're bringing the other hand with 2 fingers to the larynx, and you push it inside down. It's actually in a semicircle down. While you're pushing it down, at the same time you're pulling with the other hand behind his head. The pressure is very, very strong. You're going deep inside here and pulling with the other hand. Let's see that one more time in slow motion. Second one is behind the ears. If you look over here from close range, at the bottom of the ear there is a hole. What you want to do is to put 2 of your thumb on each side, and you press this inside down, so it's actually the pressure going in and out, almost like motorcycle driving. You do this. So we do that, press it in and turn. If you want to check if your pressure point did the effect you want, just pay attention to his toes. If the pain is strong, he will stand up on his toes. He will go up. His heels will leave the floor. So if you pay attention now, that's a very common thing that you see. Obviously, we never finish the fight that way. This is going to lead to some more attacks that we do. We do that in elbows, knees, taking him down, and so forth. Let's look at that one more time. So pay attention. My hand's coming this way, and then I'm turning them. If you see Joel happy now, because he knows this is the last one. We are not going to do any more today. This is a pressure point for level 1, number 3. So let's look at that. This can come from the back or from the front. I'm going to move a little bit the chin to the side, exposing the neck. And what I want to do is I want to come with 2 fingers to the bottom, right underneath the jaw. If you follow the arteries that leading the blood, and you're going down here, and you press 2 fingers to the direction of his ear, the pressure is extremely strong. You can do it from the front, you can do it from the back. Up and in.
Let's go over some key points now for the pressure points. For the pressure point on the larynx now, grabbing behind the head, pushing 2 fingers into the throat in a downward motion. For the pressure point behind the ears, thumbs are going in and motorcycle grip twisting. For the pressure point behind the artery, coming inside with 2 fingers exposing from the chin.
The next chapter for level 1 is gun attacks. When you've been attacked with a gun, meaning somebody put a gun to your head and demand, you know that basically if you wanted to kill you, you could have done it a long time ago. The gun is close to you because usually they want something from you. Either they demand money or want to take you as an hostage. You have the time to react, but first you have to calm the person that's attacking you. You should not look too aggressive. You should cooperate. So when you attack with a gun, raise your hand, look at him and say, whatever you want, man. It's okay, whatever you want. And then you have to react. Remember that from many, many trials that we done in the army, it's take to the brain a few seconds to have the command to press the trigger. So those 2 or 3 seconds, this is all we need to be able to do the move. Obviously, it's only going to work if it's a close range and I can reach it. If it's far away, you just forget about everything and pray. Anything you want. On your knees. Now, my student Oliver is going to demonstrate now by pointing the gun to my head. Since the gun is relatively high, what I'm going to do is calm down the person and say, whatever you want. My hands will come to the front of my body. My elbows will be pointing forward. I'm not going to open my hands. That will take me more time, more few seconds to get to him. So my elbows will be closed relatively. Look at him, whatever you want. When my hands are here, I want to be out of the line of fire. So what I do, I'm lowering myself by bending my knees and raising his hand up. What I do, I'm holding the wrist and holding the gun, raising it directly above my head. Even if it took him a second to shoot right now, I will be out of the line of fire. Lowering my knees, raising the hand at the same time. Let's look at that one more time. From here, whatever you want, man. And here we go. Took me exactly 1 second to do that. Will take a few, 2 or 3 seconds to press the trigger. Whatever you want, man. I'm out of the line of fire. At that stage, I have to take the gun out of his hand. There is one hand that's holding his wrist. Usually it's going to be that the hand from the opposite side of his hand. The right hand of his will be my left hand holding his wrist, and the right hand will be holding the gun. What I would like to do now is to rip the gun out of his hand. There is a few ways to do that. One of the best ways to do that is to pull the wrist outside to here while we're moving the gun to his direction. In your mind, what you have to think is, think about bringing your right elbow to his face. That's creating the motion that take the gun away. From here, this hand going to pull, and this hand going to push. There is a counter force motion of pulling, pushing at the same time. Step immediately back, 2 or 3 steps, point at him and say, on your knees. Now, on your knees. Other option that I have to get out of the line of fire is moving the gun sideways, and obviously it's going to be outside of my body. So when I'm going to do that, I'm moving my shoulder and turning myself to here while I'm pushing the hand. So this is another way to push the gun away from you, relatively fast. This time I'm going to grab the gun from the top. So my both hand pointing with the fingers up. And now I'm pulling with the left hand that's holding the wrist and pushing with the right hand that's holding the gun. Again, thinking of...
Let's go over the key points for the gun defense. Always appear non-threatening, calming the person down, whatever you want, man. Hands come up to pacify. Redirect the line of fire and get out of the line of fire, pushing the gun up with the wrist. Hand that's on the wrist pulls to the outside while the hand that's on the gun pushes in, elbows to the face. And of course, stepping back with the gun.
The ripping motions that we learned from the front will be useful from the side as well and from the back. Look at that from the side. On your knees now. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn my back to you so you can see the end of the move. The gun is pointing at me from the side of the body. I'm moving my hands up. This time my elbow will come backward. So my elbow will come backward, closer to the gun. And of course I will cooperate. I will say whatever you want, man. At that stage, I'm going to push the gun away from my head so I'm out of the line of fire. As I move my elbow up, my elbow will be backward. And now I push with the elbow that's close to his wrist and getting out of the line of fire and pivot completely, grabbing the wrist with the hand that's close to him. The other hand grabbing the gun. This is the same motion as we did before. I'm going to pull the wrist to me and bring my right elbow to his face. This is a ripping motion that we did. Stepping back on your knees now. Whatever you want, man. On your knees now.
For the gun defense for the side, same principles, calming the person down, raising the arms with the elbows back, whatever you want, man. This time the arms are a little bit wider. Going to turn, redirect the line of fire, stepping out of the line of fire, grabbing the wrist and grabbing the barrel of the gun with the other hand. From here, counter force motion, pull the wrist to you while pushing the gun in, turning the elbow to him, and of course stepping back with the gun.
This time the gun will be pointing at me from the back. Whatever you want, man. On your knees. Now, the first thing I want to do is to try to feel where the gun exactly located. Sometimes I take a slight step backward just to sense exactly how high the gun, because it could be too low on my back. If he's stepping too far, I don't know if I can turn at all. It could be 5 feet away or 10 feet away. So, we're going to point the gun, demanding from the back. I'm lifting my hands, cooperating, my elbows are pointing backward the same as I did before. And from here, I'm going to turn and rip the gun just as we did before. Let's look at the turn. As I'm turning, I'm getting out of the line of fire by pushing the right hand to his hand. It's extremely important to push his hand while you turn. But you have to be completely turned. You do that and turn, and now you're facing the hand with both hands. Grabbing the wrist, grabbing the gun, ripping motion as we did before. Stepping back and on your knees. Regardless if he's holding it with his right hand or left hand, I'm going to do the same motion. Whatever you want, man. This time he's holding it with his right hand. I'm turning, I'm getting out of the line of fire and ripping motion to here. As you can see, if you're holding the other gun, the other hand, this is a ripping motion to the outside of the hand. And over here, the ripping motion will be here. In both cases, the gun will be out. Let's pay attention why the gun is basically ripped out of the hand. When I'm holding the wrist and pulling, and then at the same time pushing, there is a pressure that's going to be created on the fingers. At that stage, as more I turn it, as more it's turned to him, there will be more pressure. This is one option for you. When you do that motion, as we did, most of the people will let go with the gun. As soon that you're going all the way here, pull the gun this way out. From here to here. Sometime you can pull halfway and then immediately down out, and you still have the gun nicely in your hand. One more time. Pulling, pushing motion, counter force. It's turning and down out to here. Hold tight, tight, tighter, as hard as you can. As hard as you can. As hard as you can. And the other option, when I push it all the way to him, as hard as you can. As hard as you can, Oliver. Come on. Whatever you want, man. On your knees now.
For the gun defense for behind, make sure you close the distance from the gun, turning, redirecting the line of fire, getting out of the line of fire, getting control of the wrist. Same counterforce move with the ripping action. Grab the wrist and pushing the gun to him, elbow pointing towards the head, moving back on your knees.
Another option that we have is while we're going out of the line of fire the same way as we did before, we're going to use the gun as a leverage that create pressure on his wrist and take him down. This is how we're going to look. Whatever you want, man. The first stage is getting out of the line of fire. Lowering my knees, raising the gun up, holding the wrist. But this time, I'm not trying to rip the gun out of, I'm continuous motion to create pressure on his wrist. This is what I do. The one hand that's holding his wrist, holding very tight, and I'm holding the gun. The counter force that I'm creating now is that the hand that's grabbing the gun going to be pushing to the direction of his nose, and the hand that's going to grab his wrist, that's going holding his wrist now, going to be pulled directly to my groin. One more time. The counter force here is creating pushing, pulling motion. The hand that's holding the gun going to push to the direction of his nose, and the hand that's holding his wrist going to pull down to my hip. It is important to remember that you have to pull the hand that's holding his wrist straight line back, meaning you do not bend it. It's a common mistake to see people that grabbing the wrist here and trying to pull to the direction. You do not want to do that. You just want to bring it down as a sword to your knee, to your hip. So this hand is coming directly down, this is coming forward. You can assist that by stepping forward. So while you're doing this motion, you basically shuffle to the side of his body. Continue the same motion. He can grab the gun, but the gun will be pointing at him right now. He can shoot as much as he wants.
For the gun defense takedown, bring the arms up in a pacifying motion. Elbows facing him, hands close to the gun when you bring the hands up. Stepping out of the line of fire and redirecting the line of fire. The knees are bent to get underneath the gun, and the gun is above the head in case it goes off. From here, one hand is going to push towards the face with the gun, the other hand is a cantilever pushing down, with the arms more straight.
What we're going to show you now is what surprise attacks look like. Surprise attack is a very strong part of our training in combat survival. Combat survival is one of the most realistic martial arts exist, creating a situation that you have to react fast to any kind of attacks. This is what we do and drill from level 1 all the way to level 7, and this is what you're going to see next. This is also one of the parts that I'm going to teach you how to train later on in some of the future tapes.
Faster, faster, come on, one after the other, don't rest. Whatever you want. Not faster. On your knees. Whatever you want. Faster, faster, don't wait. One after the other.
This sums up level 1. I hope you enjoyed. See you the next step, level 2.